The discovery. The crimson dust of Kepler 186 swirled around Marcus Chen's environmental suit as he trudged across the alien landscape. His boots left deep imprints in the rust-colored soil, each step accompanied by the rhythmic hiss of his oxygen recycler. The planet's dim red sun hung low on the horizon, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain. Marcus checked his wrist display, confirming the unusual energy readings that had drawn him away from the research base. As the lead xenobiologist for the Frontier Science Division, he'd spent the last 3 years studying this distant world's unique ecosystem. But these readings were unlike anything he'd encountered before. "Base, this is Chen," he spoke into his comm unit. "Moving to investigate anomaly in Sector 7. Signals getting stronger." Static crackled before Dr. Sarah Wong's voice came through. "Copy that, Marcus. Remember protocol. No unnecessary risks. We're too far from Earth for emergency evac." He smiled despite himself. Sarah's cautious nature had kept their small team alive through countless close calls. "Understood, Mom," he quipped, earning an exasperated sigh from his colleague. The energy signature led him to a narrow ravine cutting through the rocky plateau. As Marcus carefully descended, his helmet lights illuminated something that made him freeze, a trail of iridescent liquid that seemed to pulse with its own inner light. Following the trail, he rounded a bend and stopped dead in his tracks. There, half hidden beneath a rocky overhang, lay a humanoid figure. Its skin was pale silver, almost translucent, with delicate patterns that shifted like oil on water. The being was clearly injured, the iridescent fluid leaking from several wounds. Marcus's scientific training warred with his human instincts. Protocol dictated he should call it in, wait for the containment team. But the alien's chest rose and fell in shallow, labored breaths. It was alive and dying. "Base, I found..." He hesitated, knowing his next actions would violate every safety protocol. "Nothing significant, just some mineral deposits. Going to collect samples." He switched off his comm unit before Sarah could respond. Moving slowly, Marcus approached the injured alien. Its eyes snapped open at his approach, 3 pupils in each eye, arranged in a triangle pattern, their color a swirling mix of gold and violet. The alien tried to move away, a sound like crystalline wind chimes emerging from what he assumed was its mouth. The movement caused more iridescent fluid to leak from its wounds. "Easy," Marcus said softly, holding up his hands. "I want to help." He reached for the medical kit at his belt, removing a universal translator patch, an experimental device meant for potential first contact scenarios. With trembling fingers, he activated it and carefully placed it near what appeared to be the alien's auditory organ. The crystalline sounds continued, but now they were accompanied by translated words. "Leave. Danger. They come." "Who's coming?" Marcus asked, already pulling out emergency medical supplies. "What happened to you?" The alien's triple-pupilled eyes fixed on him with surprising intensity. "My own, betrayed. Truth too dangerous." It shuddered, more iridescent fluid seeping from its wounds. Marcus made a decision. He couldn't leave this being to die, regardless of protocol. He activated his suit's enhanced strength mode and carefully lifted the alien. It weighed surprisingly little, despite being roughly his height. "I'm taking you somewhere safe," he said, hoping the translator was working both ways. "Try to stay still." The alien's only response was a weak harmonic tone that made his suit's sensors flutter. As Marcus began the careful climb out of the ravine, his mind raced with questions. Who was this being? What truth had it discovered? And most importantly, what would he do when the rest of the research team discovered he brought an unknown alien life form into their base? The journey back seemed to take forever, each step carefully measured to avoid causing additional injury to his mysterious passenger. The alien drifted in and out of consciousness, occasionally emitting those haunting crystalline tones that made something deep in Marcus's chest resonate in response. As the research base's familiar dome came into view, Marcus knew his life was about to become infinitely more complicated. But looking down at the injured being in his arms, watching those strange patterns shift across its silver skin, he knew he'd made the right choice. The base's airlock loomed before him. Marcus took a deep breath, tightened his grip on his unconscious charge, and pressed the entry request button. As the outer door began to cycle, he whispered, "Welcome to humanity, friend. Let's hope we're both ready for what comes next." The alien stirred slightly, its patterns briefly glowing brighter before fading again. Marcus didn't need a translator to understand the meaning. Their fates were now intertwined, for better or worse. The airlock completed its cycle, and Marcus stepped through, carrying not just an injured alien, but the beginning of a story that would change both their species forever. Breaking through. Chaos erupted the moment Marcus stepped through the inner airlock. Sarah Wong's face went from concern to shock to fury in the span of seconds as she took in the alien form in his arms. "Have you completely lost your mind?" she hissed, already activating the base's quarantine protocols. Red warning lights bathed the corridor in an ominous glow. "That's a sentient alien life form. Do you have any idea how many protocols you've just violated?" "It was dying," Marcus replied, already moving toward the medical bay. "Still might, if we don't help." Dr. James Rodriguez, the team's medical officer, appeared in the doorway of the med bay, his dark eyes widening at the sight. To his credit, he immediately shifted into professional mode. "Put it on the main biobed. Whatever that fluid is, it's leaving a phosphorescent trail." Marcus gently laid the alien down, its silvery skin now taking on a worrying grayish tinge. The patterns that had been shifting across its surface were moving more slowly, like a stream about to freeze. "Vital signs are completely unlike anything in our database," James muttered, studying the biobed's readings. "But if these oscillating patterns indicate what I think they do, it's going into shock." The alien's eyes fluttered open, all 6 pupils dilating in what Marcus assumed was fear. The translator patch crackled to life. "No, containment. Please." "We're trying to help you," Marcus said, moving closer. "Can you tell us what happened? What kind of medical treatment do you need?" The alien's response came in broken fragments. "Resonance. Disrupted. Need. Harmonics." Sarah, who had been watching from the doorway, suddenly stepped forward. "Wait. James, adjust the electromagnetic field in the biobed. If its biology operates on resonant frequencies." James's fingers flew over the controls. A low hum filled the room, and the alien's skin patterns began to pulse in response. The iridescent fluid leaking from its wounds slowly began to congeal. "Remarkable," James breathed. "It's like its entire cellular structure operates on harmonic principles. The wounds are self-sealing now that we've provided the right frequency." Marcus watched in fascination as the alien's color improved, the silver sheen returning to its skin. Its eyes focused on him with new clarity. "You understand harmony." "We're learning," Marcus replied softly. "What's your name? Can you tell us where you came from?" "I am Lysara." The alien's translated voice came stronger now. "Researcher of quantum harmonics from the Lyron Collective." A pause, then. "You should not have saved me. They will come." "Who will come, Lysara?" Sarah asked, her scientific curiosity temporarily overriding her anger at Marcus. "The silencers." Lysara's patterns rippled with what seemed like fear. "They seek to suppress the discovery, the truth about our evolution, our potential." Marcus leaned closer. "What truth?" "That we are not meant to be separate." Lysara's harmonics took on a complex, multi-layered quality that made the translator crackle. "Our species, all species, connected through quantum resonance. But the collective fears change. Fears, emotion." The implications hit Marcus like a physical blow. If Lysara was right, if all life was somehow quantumly entangled, it would revolutionize that understanding of the universe. "That's why they tried to kill you," he asked. Because you discovered this connection. Not just discovered. Lazarus patterns formed intricate mathematical sequences. Proved, enhanced. The resonance can be strengthened, consciousness expanded, but the collective believes emotion leads to chaos. They would rather maintain control than evolve. Sarah stepped forward, her face intense. You're saying you found a way to actually enhance this quantum connection, to potentially link different species' consciousness? Yes. Lazarus' response was simple, but the implications were staggering. It is why I still live. Normal weapons would have killed me, but I used the resonance, linked briefly with the planet's field. It saved me, but now they'll know exactly where to find you. Marcus finished, understanding dawning. The energy signature I detected, it was you, connected to the planet's electromagnetic field. Lazarus' patterns dimmed. Yes, the silencers will come. You should let me leave. Your species is not ready for this conflict. Marcus felt a surge of very human stubbornness. That's not your decision to make. We saved you for a reason. Maybe it's time for humanity to join this larger conversation about consciousness and connection. Marcus, Sarah warned, this is bigger than us. If what she's saying is true, we could be drawing the attention of an advanced civilization that might not look kindly on interference. Or, Marcus countered, we could be taking our first steps toward understanding the true nature of life in the universe. Isn't that why we're out here? The room fell silent except for the gentle hum of the biobed. Lazarus' patterns swirled in complex equations as she studied them. Finally, she spoke, you are different from what we were told about humans. The collective says you are too emotional, too unpredictable. But your emotions, they fuel your understanding. Your desire to help transcended logic. That's kind of our thing, Marcus smiled. Logic is great, but compassion, that's what makes us human. Lazarus' patterns shifted into something almost like a smile. Perhaps that is exactly what the universe needs now. The collective fears emotion because they cannot control it. But you embrace it, use it to drive discovery. So, James spoke up, checking the biobed readings. What do we do now? The womb's healing, but if these silences are coming. Now, Marcus said firmly, we learn everything we can. About the quantum resonance, about the collective, about how to defend ourselves, and we do it together. Lazarus' patterns brightened. You would risk everything to protect this knowledge. To protect me. Like I said, Marcus replied, that's what humans do. We're emotional, unpredictable, and we absolutely hate being told what we can't do. For the first time, Lazara produced a sound that needed no translation, something very close to laughter. Then perhaps the collective was right to fear human involvement, but for all the wrong reasons. Outside the base, Kepler 186's red sun dipped below the horizon. But inside, a new kind of light was growing, the light of understanding between two very different beings, united by the pursuit of truth and the courage to defend it. The real question was, how long did they have before the silencers arrived to try to extinguish that light forever? Hidden truths. The lab's holographic displays danced with complex waveforms as Lazara demonstrated the principles of quantum resonance. Her silver skin pulsed with patterns that matched the frequencies on the screens, creating a hypnotic symphony of light and motion. All consciousness creates ripples in the quantum field, she explained, her translator now perfectly synced with her harmonic speech. But most species only produce random, uncontrolled patterns. My research showed we could align these ripples, create coherent waves of shared consciousness. Marcus watched, transfixed, as she manipulated the energy fields with graceful movements. 2 weeks had passed since he'd found her in the ravine, and each day brought new wonders, like a quantum internet of consciousness. Similar, but more fundamental, Lazarus' patterns formed complex mathematical structures. Imagine every living being as an instrument in an infinite orchestra. Most play randomly, creating chaos. But if we learn to play in harmony, you get a symphony, Sarah finished, her initial skepticism long since replaced by fascination. But wouldn't that kind of connection be overwhelming? Billions of minds linked together. That was the collective's fear. Lazarus' patterns dimmed slightly. They believed such connection would lead to loss of individuality, emotional contamination. But they were wrong. The resonance doesn't erase differences, it celebrates them, like different instruments in that symphony. Marcus stepped closer to one of the displays, studying the intricate wave patterns. You've already experienced this, haven't you? This deeper connection. Lazarus' triple-pupilled eyes met his. Yes. In my last experiment, before they tried to stop me, I achieved brief resonance with a group of volunteers. The experience was, her patterns shifted to colors Marcus had never seen before, indescribable, pure understanding, beyond words or thought. And that's why the silencers want to stop you. James spoke up from his monitoring station. Because this kind of connection can't be controlled or censored. Precisely. Lizora moved to another display, bringing up new data. The collective maintains power through isolation. They teach that emotion leads to chaos, that other species are too primitive to understand true harmony. But the resonance reveals all truths. Suddenly, every monitor in the lab flashed red. Alarm klaxons blared through the base's speakers. Multiple ships dropping out of FTL. Sarah's fingers flew over her console. 8 vessels entering high orbit. Marcus's heart raced. The silencers. Lazarus' patterns became sharp, angular. Yes, they found us sooner than I expected. The resonance must have been stronger than I thought. How long do we have? Marcus was already moving toward the weapons locker. Their ships are launching drop pods, Sarah reported, her voice tense. Impact in 15 minutes. We need to evacuate, James said, already beginning to shut down sensitive equipment. The base's defenses won't hold against advanced alien technology. But Lizara moved to the central console, her patterns forming complex sequences faster than the human eye could follow. There's another way. The resonance. I can use it to protect us, but I'll need help. What kind of help? Marcus asked, returning with pulse rifles for the team. The human capacity for emotion makes you natural resonators, Lizara explained quickly. Your feelings create powerful quantum signatures. If I can sync with those signatures, amplify them through the base's electromagnetic field. You want to create some kind of quantum shield? Sarah's eyes widened. Is that even possible? Theoretically. Lizara's patterns swirled faster, but it will require trust. Complete trust. I'll need to establish a direct resonance link with one of you. Her eyes fixed on Marcus. They both knew it had to be him. Over the past 2 weeks, they'd developed a connection that went beyond words. Sometimes he could sense her emotions even without the translator, could almost see the patterns in his mind. What do you need me to do? He asked without hesitation. Your mind must be open, your emotions free. Lizara moved closer, her silver skin luminescent. The resonance will feel strange at first. You may see things, feel things, that seem impossible. Marcus set down his weapon. I trust you. The others watched in fascinated silence as Lizara raised her hands, placing them on either side of Marcus's head. Her skin began to glow brighter, patterns flowing from her body onto his. The sensation was indescribable. Marcus felt his consciousness expanding, stretching like a rubber band about to snap. Colors he had no names for flooded his vision. Sounds became visible, light became tangible. He could feel Lizara's presence in his mind, not as an intrusion, but as a harmonious counterpoint to his own thoughts. Through their shared perception, he saw the truth she had discovered, the quantum web that connected all living things, vibrating with infinite possibility. He saw the collective's fear of this connection, their desperate need to control and contain it. And he saw something else, something Lizara herself hadn't fully realized. The resonance, he gasped, his voice strange in his ears. It's not just communication, it's evolution, the next step. Yes, Lazara's response echoed in his mind and through the translator simultaneously, and that is why they fear it so much. Through their linked consciousness, they sensed the silencers drop pods entering the atmosphere, but now, instead of fear, Marcus felt a surge of determination. Together, they began to shape the quantum field around the base, turning their shared consciousness into a barrier the silencers couldn't penetrate. Sarah and James watched in awe as visible waves of energy began pulsing from Marcus and Lazara, expanding outward to envelope the entire base. The air itself seemed to sing with harmonic frequencies. "My God," Sarah whispered, checking her instruments. "The quantum field density is off the charts. They're actually doing it." As the first drop pods streaked toward them like falling stars, Marcus and Lazara stood unified in their shared consciousness, ready to defend not just their lives, but the very future of interspecies understanding. The true battle for the evolution of consciousness was about to begin, the pursuit. The silencers' drop pods slammed into the quantum barrier like meteors hitting an invisible ocean. Waves of energy rippled outward, transforming the alien landscape into a sea of shifting colors. Through their shared consciousness, Marcus and Lazara felt each impact as if it was striking their own bodies. There, confused, Marcus spoke, his voice resonating with harmonic undertones. "They've never encountered resistance like this. The combination of your emotional energy and my knowledge of the resonance." Lazara's patterns pulsed in sync with his heartbeat. "It's created something new, something they don't understand." Sarah monitored the defensive screens, her face illuminated by cascading data. More pods incoming. They're adjusting their approach vectors, trying to find weak points in the barrier. Through their quantum link, Marcus and Lazara watched as dark figures emerged from the first wave of pods. The silencers lived up to their name. Their armor seemed to absorb light and sound, creating patches of absolute void in the quantum field. Each carried weapons that pulsed with anti-harmonic frequencies. "Those weapons," James observed, "they're designed to disrupt the quantum resonance, aren't they?" "Yes." Lazara's response carried a tremor of remembered pain. "They don't just kill the body. They sever the connection to the quantum field, end consciousness itself." Marcus felt her fear through their link, but also her determination. Together, they strengthened the barrier, weaving their combined consciousness into an impenetrable shield, but maintaining it was taking a toll. "We can't hold this forever," Marcus gasped, feeling the strain. Sweat beaded on his forehead as Lazara's patterns flowed across his skin. "We need a plan." "The research," Sarah said suddenly, already moving to the secure data cores. "If we can transmit your findings about the quantum resonance to other research stations, other worlds." The collective couldn't suppress it, James finished, catching on. The knowledge would spread too far, too fast. "No." One of the silencers spoke, its voice somehow reaching them through the barrier. The sound was wrong, anti-harmonic, making everyone wince. The resonance must be contained. Order must be maintained. Through their link, Marcus felt Lazara's bitter amusement. Still hiding behind the excuse of order, she projected her thoughts outward, letting the silencers hear. Tell them the real reason. Tell them what the resonance reveals about the collective's lies. The silencers responded by intensifying their assault. Anti-harmonic pulses battered the barrier, creating discordant ripples in the quantum field. Marcus staggered, blood trickling from his nose. "Marcus." Sarah moved to support him, but he waved her away. "I'm fine," he gritted out. "Keep working on that transmission." But through their connection, Lazara felt his pain. Her patterns shifted, taking on a protective configuration. "You've done enough," she said softly. "I can hold the barrier alone now." "No," Marcus tightened their mental link. "We do this together. Show me what else the resonance can do. Show me how to fight back." Their combined consciousness expanded further, reaching deep into the quantum field. Marcus saw through Lysara's understanding how the universe itself was alive with possibility, every particle singing its own note in the cosmic symphony. The silencers weren't just attacking them, they were trying to silence that symphony, replace it with artificial order. Sarah, Marcus called out, his voice now carrying harmonic overtones that made the air vibrate. How long until the transmission is ready? 5 minutes, she replied, fingers flying over the controls. But the silencers are jamming conventional communications. We need a stronger signal. Lysara's patterns formed complex equations. The resonance itself can carry the data. Through the quantum field, faster than light, impossible to stop. But what? To generate a pulse that strong, her patterns dimmed, we would have to drop the barrier. For a moment, but that moment would be enough for the silencers to strike. Marcus felt the weight of the choice through their connection. Drop the barrier to spread the truth, knowing it might mean their deaths, or maintain it, and lose their chance to share this discovery with the universe. Through their shared perception, he sensed something else: movement in orbit. The research station's long-range sensors picked up new energy signatures dropping out of FTL. More ships, Sarah reported, her voice tense. But these are different. The energy patterns don't match the silencers. Lysara's patterns brightened with recognition. The resistance. Others who discovered the truth about the resonance. They must have sensed our connection. The new ships engaged the silencers' vessels in orbit, filling the sky with quantum fire. The silencers on the ground looked up, their void-like armor seeming to ripple with uncertainty. Now, Marcus realized, while they're distracted, we can send the transmission and reconfigure the barrier before they recover. Lysara's patterns swirled with complex calculations. If we channel the resonance through your emotional capacity for hope, for determination, yes, it could work. Their minds merged more deeply than ever, human emotion amplifying alien knowledge. Marcus felt himself becoming something more than human, while Lysara experienced the raw power of unfettered feeling. Together, they prepared to risk everything to share their discovery with the cosmos. The barrier rippled, preparing to fall. Above them, ships of light and darkness danced in orbital combat. Around them, the silencers raised their anti-harmonic weapons. And through it all, the quantum symphony of the universe played on, waiting for its next evolution. The moment of truth had arrived. Hearts across stars. Now, Marcus and Lysara's voices merged into a single harmonic cry as they dropped the quantum barrier. In that same instant, they channeled all their combined energy into the transmission. The research station's systems blazed with power as decades of suppressed knowledge burst outward through the quantum field. The silencers rushed forward, their void weapons raised, but something unexpected happened. As the transmission pulse expanded, it carried more than just data. It carried the pure emotional resonance of Marcus and Lysara's connection. Through their linked consciousness, they watched the pulse ripple outward faster than light, touching minds across vast distances. Each consciousness it reached became a new node in an ever-expanding network, each adding its own unique note to the universal symphony. The harmonics, Sarah gasped, staring at her readings. They're replicating exponentially. Every mind that receives the transmission becomes a new transmitter. The nearest silencer fired, its anti-harmonic beam cutting through the space where the barrier had been. But before it could reach them, something remarkable occurred. The beam hit a web of quantum resonance created by thousands of newly awakened minds across space. The network, Lysara's patterns, danced with joy and wonder. It's protecting us. Every consciousness touched by the transmission is contributing to a new kind of defense. Marcus felt it through their connection, a vast chorus of minds, alien and human alike, each recognizing their part in the cosmic harmony. The silencer's weapons, designed to disrupt individual quantum fields, couldn't handle the complexity of millions of consciousness resonating in concert. One of the silencers removed its void helm, revealing a face similar to Lysara's, but with patterns frozen in rigid, artificial order. "What have you done?" it demanded, its voice trembling. "The chaos, the emotion." "Not chaos," Marcus projected through the quantum field, letting all hear. "Symphony. Every note different, every voice unique, but all part of the same song." Through their expanded awareness, Marcus and Lizara sensed the impact of their transmission reaching the collective's worlds. Minds long suppressed awakened to their true potential. The artificial barriers between emotion and logic, between species and cultures, began to dissolve. Above them, the battle in orbit transformed. As the resonance spread, many of the Silencer's own crews began to awaken, their rigid patterns breaking into natural flow. Ships ceased fire as their crews experienced true harmony for the first time. But some Silencers, too deeply conditioned to accept change, fought harder against the awakening. One raised its weapon, targeting Lizara with desperate intensity. The order must be preserved. Marcus felt the attack coming through their link. Without hesitation, he pulled Lizara behind him, shielding her with his body. But the anti-harmonic beam never reached them. The Silencer's own armor began to resonate, its artificial patterns dissolving as the quantum awakening reached even its conditioned mind. The weapon clattered to the ground as the Silencer fell to its knees, experiencing raw emotion for the first time. All around them, similar scenes played out as the last resistance to the quantum resonance crumbled. Through their connection, Marcus felt Lizara's patterns shift with concern. "You would have sacrificed yourself for me," she sent through their link. "Why?" Marcus's response flowed naturally through their shared consciousness, not just thoughts but pure feeling. Love, trust, determination, hope, all the complex emotions that made humanity unique in the universe. "Because that's what humans do for those we love," he replied simply. "We feel. We care. We protect. It's not weakness. It's our greatest strength." Lizara's patterns bloomed with colors he'd never seen before, emotions his human mind could barely comprehend. But through their resonance, he understood perfectly. Their connection had grown into something neither species had imagined possible, a perfect harmony of logic and emotion, of alien knowledge and human heart. Sarah's voice broke through their moment of revelation. "The transmission. It's reached every major system in this sector. The collective's control is breaking down. People are awakening everywhere." James monitored the medical readings with amazement. The quantum field density, it's creating new neural patterns. We're literally watching consciousness evolve in real time. Through the resonance network, Marcus and Lizara felt the change sweeping across space. The rigid boundaries between species dissolved, replaced by a new understanding of universal connection. But unlike the collective's fears, individuals didn't lose themselves in the connection. They became more fully themselves, enriched by the harmony of infinite diversity. The remaining Silencers dropped their weapons, their conditioning unable to withstand the pure truth of the resonance. Some fell to their knees, overwhelmed by their first taste of true emotion. Others simply stood in wonder, their patterns finally flowing naturally. Lizara turned to Marcus, her triple-pupilled eyes shimmering with both joy and uncertainty. "Everything will change now. The barriers between species, between worlds, none of it can remain the same." Marcus smiled, feeling her mixed emotions through their link. Change is what humans do best. And now we'll face it together, not just you and me, but all of us across the stars. Through their expanded awareness, they sensed the truth of his words. The universe was awakening to a new age of consciousness, of connection across the vast distances of space. The symphony they had started would continue to grow, each new mind adding its unique voice to the cosmic chorus. But amid the vast network of awakening minds, their personal connection remained special, unique, a testament to what was possible when two different species dared to trust, to feel, to love beyond the boundaries of their own kind. The red sun of Kepler 186 F began to set, casting the landscape in crimson and gold. But in the quantum field, a new light was dawning. the light of billions of minds discovering their place in the universal harmony, all thanks to one human who dared to save an alien, and one alien who dared to trust a human. Together, they had changed the very nature of consciousness itself, and their story was only beginning. A new dawn. 3 months after the quantum awakening, the research station on Kepler 186 had transformed. What was once a simple outpost now served as a nexus for interspecies cooperation, its halls filled with beings from across the galaxy coming to study the harmony that had changed everything. Marcus stood at the observation dome, watching ships arrive and depart, their quantum drives now enhanced by the resonance, allowing them to traverse the cosmos in ways previously thought impossible. His consciousness, permanently altered by his connection with Lizara, could feel the symphony of minds reaching across space. Still adapting to the changes, Lizara's harmonic voice carried both amusement and understanding as she joined him. Her patterns, once subtle, now danced with complex emotions she no longer needed to hide. "Every day brings something new," Marcus replied, both through words and their shared resonance. "Yesterday, I accidentally tuned into a philosophical debate between silicon-based beings in the Andromeda galaxy. Your human capacity for emotion makes you an exceptionally strong resonator," Lizara noted, her patterns forming affectionate swirls, "though you still broadcast your feelings rather intensely." Marcus grinned. "Says the one who lit up like a quantum aurora when I brought you those crystalline flowers from Proxima b." Their shared laughter rippled through the quantum field, touching nearby minds with its joy. Such emotional resonance would have been forbidden under the collective's rule. Now it was celebrated as part of the new harmony. Sarah approached them, her own consciousness now attuned to the field, though not as deeply as theirs. "The latest reports from Earth are in. The Council of Nations has officially recognized the Quantum Rights Accord. All sentient beings are now guaranteed free access to resonance development." "And the former collective worlds?" Marcus asked, though he could sense the answer through the field. "The transition continues," Lizara replied, her patterns forming complex statistical arrays. "Some resist change, preferring their old isolation, but most have embraced the awakening. The rigid patterns of control are dissolving, replaced by natural harmony." Through their connection, Marcus felt her momentary sadness for those still choosing isolation. He sent a wave of reassurance, colored with his uniquely human optimism. "They'll come around. Change takes time." "Speaking of change," Sarah interjected with a knowing smile, "isn't there something you two wanted to announce?" Marcus and Lizara's patterns synchronized, creating a beautiful display of quantum resonance. Their combined consciousness reached out to touch the minds of everyone in the station, sharing their joy. "We're getting married," Marcus announced, his happiness broadcasting clearly through the field, both in the human tradition and through the quantum bonding ceremony. "The first official union of our species," Lizara added, her patterns forming intricate celebration motifs, "a symbol of the new harmony between all sentient beings." The news rippled through the quantum network, touching minds across the galaxy. Congratulations and celebrations flowed back through the resonance, each species adding their own unique expressions of joy to the cosmic symphony. James, monitoring the quantum field density from his lab, called up excitedly, "You might want to see this. The resonance from your announcement, it's creating new harmonic patterns. The field itself is evolving." They rushed to the lab, watching in wonder as the quantum displays showed waves of consciousness shifting into unprecedented configurations. Their love, their connection, was literally changing the fundamental nature of reality. The collective's greatest fear, Lizara mused, her patterns thoughtful, was that emotion would bring chaos to the universal order. Instead, it's creating a higher form of harmony. Marcus wrapped an arm around her, their consciousness merging seamlessly. Logic and emotion, different species and cultures, all playing their parts in the cosmic symphony. Turns out the universe was waiting for us to learn how to listen to each other. Through their shared perception, they felt the quantum field pulse with possibility. The barriers between species, between minds and hearts, had dissolved. Yet each consciousness remained unique, contributing its own special note to the universal chorus. You know, Marcus said, both through words and resonance, when I found you in that ravine, I was just trying to do the right thing. I never imagined that we would change the fundamental nature of consciousness itself. Lizora's patterns danced with amusement. Perhaps that is why it worked. You didn't act from calculation or duty, but from pure human compassion. And you were brave enough to trust that compassion, Marcus replied, to believe that emotion wasn't a weakness, but a strength. Their consciousness merged deeper, sharing memories of those first desperate days. The fear, the uncertainty, the gradual building of trust, and the eventual blossoming of something neither species had words to describe. Their love had become a bridge not just between two beings, but between all conscious minds in the cosmos. Above them, the red sun of Kepler 186 painted the sky in brilliant hues, while distant stars twinkled with the light of billions of awakened minds. Through the quantum resonance, Marcus and Lizara could feel the universe itself evolving, growing, reaching for new levels of harmony and understanding. Sarah watched the quantum displays with wonder. So what happens next? Marcus and Lizara shared a knowing look, their patterns synchronizing in perfect harmony. Next, they said together, their voices carrying through both air and quantum field, we continue to explore, to grow, to love. The symphony is endless, and every day brings new music. As if in response, the quantum field pulsed with new patterns, new possibilities. The future stretched before them, infinite in its potential. Humanity had taken its place in the cosmic chorus, not as conquerors or subjects, but as essential voices in the universal harmony. And it all began because one human dared to save an alien, and one alien dared to trust a human. Their love had literally changed the universe, proving that the greatest power in existence wasn't control or logic or force, it was the simple choice to care, to connect, to love beyond boundaries. The symphony played on, and the music was beautiful.